So, a new animated Superman movie came out, and one little twist in his origin story basically set the internet on fire. Today, we're going to break down that whole discussion, the controversial change, the really confusing defense of it, and what this whole thing might say about how we tell stories about heroes these days. Okay, so what was the big deal? Well, it all boils down to that classic message his parents, Jor-El and Lara, sent with him from Krypton. Except in this version, the message we all know was a lie. The real message, according to the commentators we're looking at, was not about hope. It was about conquest. And yeah, that one little change pretty much flips the entire script on Superman's backstory. Let's dive into how turning this once utopian society into a full-on fascist one became the absolute heart of this whole debate. I mean, look at this. It is night and day. On one hand, you've got the classic Krypton, this beautiful, shining beacon of science and art that was tragically lost. It makes Superman special, the last son of a fallen paradise. But this new version, it's a straight-up fascist empire that sent their kid to Earth not to save him, but to have him take it over. The guys in the discussion we're examining, they don't hide where they stand on this at all. For them, the whole idea of a lost utopia, a brilliant society that collapsed because of its own hubris, there's a real tragic beauty to that. It's poignant. And this new, darker version, it just throws all of that away. But here's the thing. For them, this isn't just about Superman. It's about this whole trend in storytelling lately. You take these grand, aspirational ideas, and then you deconstruct them to reveal that, oh, actually, it was secretly evil, or actually, it was just as messed up as our world is. They feel like this just comes from a really cynical, kind of nihilistic worldview that sucks the power out of these myths. Okay, so just when you think you've got a handle on it, things get weird. Enter famed comic book writer Grant Morrison, someone the movie's director is a huge fan of, who decided to weigh in. And let's just say his defense of this twist left everyone totally baffled. So at first, Morrison sounds like he's completely on board with the critics. He says flat out that he didn't like the twist and that he's a fan of the classic utopian Krypton. A pretty straightforward take, right? Well, hold that thought. Because almost in the next breath, he does a complete 180. He says that even though he personally doesn't like the idea, as a twist for this specific movie, it really worked. And this is where the hosts we're covering just got completely lost. Right? So which one is it? Does he like it or not? How can a fundamentally bad idea somehow work? Is it just a good execution of a terrible premise? This contradiction is the puzzle they kept trying to solve. You could almost hear them trying to figure it out in real time. Were they thinking, okay, maybe he's just trying to be polite to the director? Or is this some kind of 4D chess move where he's secretly saying he hates the film? In the end, they kind of landed on Morrison's own fuzzy logic. It's not good or bad, it's just a version of the character. So all this confusion over the twist and Morrison's bizarre defense of it, it all leads to the much bigger point the speakers are trying to make. They argue this isn't just about one movie. It's a symptom of a huge problem with how Hollywood fundamentally misunderstands who Superman is. And this is the phrase that becomes the heart of their whole argument: fragile morality. The idea here, supposedly from Morrison's analysis, is that because Superman's birth parents were space fascists, his own moral compass is now shaky. He's just one bad day away from becoming a villain. But the speakers, they call total nonsense on that. Hard. They're like, did we even watch the same movie? Because at no point does Superman hear this evil message and think, world domination. Maybe I should give that a try. He rejects it instantly. There's zero internal conflict shown on screen. And this is why that whole fragile morality thing just doesn't fly for them. Superman's character, his goodness, it doesn't come from some crystal audio log he finds as a grown man. It comes from Jonathan and Martha Kent. It was decades of their love and his upbringing in Smallville that made him Superman. So what's really going on? Well, here's their big theory. For a lot of creators in Hollywood, they don't actually see Superman. When they look at him, they see a character like Homelander from The Boys, a terrifyingly powerful being who's just pretending to be one of the good guys. And that's the root of it all, they argue. Modern storytellers have just become so cynical that they can't wrap their heads around the idea that a character could have all that power and simply choose to be good. They feel like they have to add a dark twist. They have to give him that fragile morality because they can't imagine a powerful person who isn't secretly evil.
Okay, for our last section, let's talk about the film's supposed message. Because, whoo boy, this is where it gets even weirder. The themes and slogans attached to this movie were apparently just as baffling as the plot twist itself.
Case in point, this quote, which is attributed to the film's director, started making the rounds. Kindness is the new punk rock. And the reaction from the hosts was pretty much, what?
They had a lot of fun with this one, talking about their own experiences at punk shows. And, they made the point that words like aggression or maybe even heroin come to mind way, way before the word kindness. The whole comparison just felt completely disconnected, like someone trying way too hard to sound edgy.
And they had a similar reaction to a line from the movie where Superman's greatest strength is making mistakes. Their feelings on that sentiment were pretty much summed up by that famous clip from the movie Billy Madison. For them, it was just a meaningless, incoherent message for a character like Superman.
So when you strip it all away, that's what we're left with. It's a clash between two totally different views of what a hero is. On one side, you've got this new, deconstructed version with a fragile morality, whose greatest strength is messing up. And on the other, you have that traditional, aspirational hero who's powerful because he's good. And that really leaves us with a huge question for storytelling today, doesn't it? In an age of gritty anti-heroes and cynical deconstructions, is there still room for a character who is just good? This whole debate really suggests that how we answer that says a lot about the kinds of heroes we want to believe in.